Everybody, welcome back. I'm Yumble, and today I'd like to give you several options on how to start your city in terms of the road network, and also rank those options in terms of how effective they are, or maybe how upgradable they are. There's a bunch of decent ways to start your city, and I just want to talk about a few viable ones and give you some options, because there's no one right way to do it. Every city is different, and every builder is going to choose their own set of parameters that matter to them. Let's get into it. The first city start option that I'd like to present to you is actually the roundabout start. This is a well-represented option, well recommended by many city builders. My favorite thing about it personally is that it's actually upgradable to something else. So this is a decent way to start a low density area, but I would not recommend starting a high density area with this exact move. Let me explain what I'm doing. I just started doing it without thinking because I've done it so many times. Use your road guidelines to find the center of your highway network coming off the highway. So this is a 4-unit gap. Using the guidelines, I can see that. So I'm going to go 2 units over and then make a guide of any amount going vertically upwards. And this gives us a very solid starting point for a centered roundabout. And I'm actually going to go 7 by 7. So I'm going to do a 7-unit. I'm using the curved road tool now. 7 units over with our one-way road. 7 units down, 7 units down, 7 units over. It's going to be the same the whole way around. I'll end up calling this a 7 by 7 roundabout. And this is good because it's big enough to handle a bunch of traffic, yet small enough to not waste too much space in your new city. Nice. And the next thing that I would have you do is connect your highway to it. I don't think it's going to let us use this node without anarchy, so I'm going to get as close to the node as I can. And we're going to do that the same on both sides. I'm using the freeform road tool and the 2-lane one-way road, just like we built the roundabout with. And I'm actually going to, once again, go as close to the node without it going sour there. There we go. So this one is vanilla viable. You can do this without any mods. Another way to possibly stop the roundabout from breaking, because what I've just done probably broke the roundabout a little bit. Actually, I'm fine with that. That's pretty good. If you brace the roundabout with vertical and horizontal roads, sometimes you'll get better results, but I am comfortable with that. It's probably a slightly imperfect roundabout, but it's okay. All roundabouts are perfect in their own special way, right? And at this point, you probably don't have highways unlocked yet, so I would go for 2-lane one-way road and just downgrade the highway segments as you can, just so, especially if it's this very vanilla city start here, the road, the lane math works out perfectly, where you've got 2 lanes coming in to 2 lanes and 2 lanes going away. Now from here, the obvious move would be to connect some roads to it. So you can use small roads, you can use bigger roads, maybe a 4-lane road coming off of this might be fine. And to keep things simple, maybe you just go off in either direction. So west and east, and maybe even south as well. So a good reason to use this is that it's simple, it's easy, you can do it right at the beginning without mods, without anything fancy, and you can build your houses right off this side, or the houses right off this side, or your industry can be on one side, your residential can be on the other. And when I say building it off the side, of course I just mean building some collector roads, just roads to collect traffic to get them into the city. But maybe you build a few of these. How far apart are these? Maybe 12 units or so? 13 units. It doesn't really matter. This is not about perfection. This is just about concepts. So maybe this becomes your residential area or your shopping area, or maybe the shopping area is more towards the middle, and then maybe there's some sort of industrial square over here, and you put your industry just off the highway. That would work totally fine until you unlock high density zoning, and the moment you start zoning high density on this, the roundabout is going to have a lot of trouble. Which brings me into my second point. A reason that I like this is because you can demolish it with the bulldozer and then build something more substantial. So it's very easy to get your city up and running this way and start making money, but eventually you may find that you need a 4-way lighted intersection, or you may find that you need to bring the highway into the city for this to work correctly, and you need an interchange in the middle. But this is a good starting point, and it's highly upgradable, and I'd recommend it for that reason. The second city start that I'd like to show you, I would call it the Arterial Transition. If you remember, I said the Roundabout is upgradable, and when I say upgradable, I mean effectively deletable, but you can use the pieces that you've already built off of it. So even if you built a city of 20,000 and the Roundabout breaks down, you can always remove it and then do something else. Something maybe like this. I would say that this is more of a parallel to the Roundabout start. But what I would do to accomplish this is take your 4-lane road. Remember how I showed you how to measure to the middle with 2 units? We already did it. So for now, what I'm going to do is actually delete the existing highway connection, and I'm going to bring this arterial meaning the artery of the city. So this is like a central road that all other roads will come back to. I'm going to bring that up right next to these, so maybe within a couple units of it. Not right up to it there, but maybe we'll back it off by like 5 or 6 units, maybe even 7 units. Let's see if this works. So this is exactly, not exactly, it's 4 or 5 units away from the highway, but that's okay. We're going to take our 2-lane one-way road, and we're going to use the freeform road tool, and we're going to approximate an angle off of this. We're going to approximate whatever 90 degrees down is. Of course, you can see there it says 142.9, but if we use the other road guidelines from this network, we can click and then add a little connection there. So we're essentially converting the highway connection into an arterial connection. So freeform road tool down, and then connect it at the highway, and make sure to get your roads the right direction. So turn that one that way. The incoming road, this is a bit of a thing. I don't have a way to overcome this for vanilla players. Modded players, of course, use Traffic Manager to fix the lane arrows. Vanilla players, this may always be a bit of an issue for you, but that's okay. That's okay. So this essentially converts the highway into an arterial road. And like I said, this parallels the Roundabout start. It essentially offers all of the same similar benefits. But this is an okay way to go if you've done the arterial in. This would become a traffic light, which is fine, which is a-okay. From here, I might recommend using one-way roads to connect towards the interchange, or maybe a slip lane one-way road to get off the interchange without hitting this intersection. So this would cut into the residential area or your, or say your industrial area. If you started an industrial area here, maybe there's a one-way road that enters into that just like that and then goes straight across, distributing traffic as it goes. Or maybe after a unit or two, it becomes a two-way road. That's all fine. You could do that with the Roundabout as well, but I would call this the arterial road in adapted from the highway interchange. Our next method is extremely popular. This is bringing the highway into your city. Basically, all Skylines maps, all the vanilla ones, on console, on PC, etc., they start with this highway interchange, and it implies that you're supposed to bring this highway into your city. So if you follow what they've set the stage for, you can take your one-way, the 2-lane one-way road, and just continue that right into the city, and also right out of the city. And once you've unlocked highway pieces, you can upgrade this to 2-lane or 3-lane highway. That's totally fine. But for our purposes today, I want to show you how to get cars off of the highway. You could, if you're kind of wild, you could do something wild and crazy like this. I don't know if I'd recommend it. I don't even know if it's going to work. Yeah, you could do that. So this is, I would call that a rural highway interchange. The default game is going to add a bunch of lights here and this tiny little segment, and that is not going to work well at all. That is a terrible way to exit the highway. So I'm gonna do takesy backsies, and we're gonna do an interchange. I want to teach you how to build a diamond interchange for the bring your highway in method. So we're gonna go up to, I think 9 is the standard amount that works. Yeah, 9 is good. And we're gonna go across the road, and I'm gonna make this wide enough, hopefully, that we could upgrade it to a 3-lane highway eventually. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works the way I intend. So a 10-unit crossing on top of the road there, an overpass. Just proof of concept here. I'm not going to leave this, but just to show you. Later in the game, when you decide to upgrade this to highway, if you want to do that, you can totally do that if you leave enough space in between the pillars. For now, I'm going to downgrade that again, just for reasons. So this would be the beginning of our diamond interchange. And now we got to get it back to ground. On PC, you can actually hit the home button, and that'll take you right back to ground. That's fine. This is going to look a bit weird, but I think it would work just fine. So we've got a ramp. Looks like maybe a 6-unit ramp there. That's an 8-unit ramp. Beautiful. It's not beautiful, but it's okay. So 8 units over, and then down to ground. And then we can connect that to our already existing situation. So this isn't assuming that maybe you've already got stuff built, or maybe you started your city this way. This is fantastic. That overpass is gorgeous. The roads are great, but oopsie daisy, none of them are connected. This is where the diamond interchange comes in. So we're going to use our 2-lane one-way road, our best friend basically. And we're going to go to the top of the overpass. So where the pillar is on your overpass that you just built, go perpendicular off of that, and then connect it to the highway wherever it will let you, basically. This is going to be a very small diamond because of the nature of how these nodes worked out. But that's okay. For our purposes, it's going to work just fine. Or if you want to be real crazy, in a good way, I would just go to maybe the next node over, and then connect that. Oh man, that's okay. It's better to extend it than to leave it short in this situation. So that will work with no anarchy, with no nothing. That is totally fine. If you want to be real smart, maybe make the ramp go down a little bit. But the values that I'm choosing are going to be, let's do 7 units over, and then we'll go down to 6 meters. And we'll use the freeform road tool to finish this off. And we'll just connect wherever it will let us. In this case, it's going to let us go there. That looks good. So that is how vehicles will get back onto the highway from this network, even from this side. If this is your residential or industrial, they'll come across and they'll make this left turn here. To complete the idea, to make what I would call a half diamond, totally viable city start, do the same thing on the opposite side of the overpass. I'm going to go down to 6 meters high. And I'm going to use the freeform road tool to hopefully hit the same exact spot, just for looks. I want it to look the same. Excellent. Excellent. In this situation, it would be real smart to avoid that short little connection there, or upgrade the roads later, or better yet, delete both of these and redraw them would be totally fine. Like, for instance, in this situation, I would do well to get rid of that entirely and then reconnect it like this. And ensure that our ramp is also facing the right direction by right-clicking on PC. So what that gives us is, I would call it a half diamond, where cars will get off the highway. Let's say they make this right turn here, and they come in here, and now they have the option to either continue on this road, presumably you're going to keep building into this area, or they can take this right-hand turn and then exit whatever way they want to go. If they want to go over to this area, they want to go over here. And inversely, if they want to get back on the highway, they're going to take the overpass and make this left to depart onto the highway. Or from this direction, they're going to come and make this right to get onto the highway. That doesn't really address vehicles that want to get onto this road and get on the highway this way, so obviously just do the same thing in the other direction. Pick whatever numbers you want. I'm going to happen to use 7 units down to 6 meters high. 7 units down to 6 meters high. And we're going to use the freeform road tool to reconnect it to wherever works here. That, I think, is actually identical. 4 meters. Yep, that's the same. So this is a kind of incidentally symmetrical diamond. Make sure that the ramps are facing the correct way. And that's it. So now vehicles from this new theoretical area that you've not built yet will have highway access. And this is kind of the US way of doing things. Having a highway come right through the middle of your city. Very, very effective. It's not very quaint. It's not very cute. But boy, does that look good. That's a good looking diamond for no special roads or no special treatment. But yeah, same rules apply. You can exit from this part of the highway into this area by going right or exit left. And getting on this way is as easy as crossing the overpass and making a left. Or otherwise crossing this way and making a right to go south into town. This is a very strong city start. This is incredibly strong, arguably too strong in certain situations. Maybe you don't always want an interchange right next to your people living in town. Perhaps I'll give you an option to avoid that as well, but yes, bringing the highway in, very, very strong. Let's assume that you're a builder of taste. This next option might be for you. This implies that you're going to use the arterial transition to begin with, so I've reenacted our transition from the highway interchange to an arterial road. You can combine this with roundabouts if you want, or it can be lights. I'll leave that up to you. It's totally whatever you want in this case. But if you want to go back later and replace this one-way kind of trumpet, it's not a trumpet, it's a T interchange. If you want to take this T system interchange and replace it with a service interchange that crosses the road because you're amazing, I would recommend doing this, personally. This is that high-tier option I was talking about. We're going to end up getting rid of this entirely. This is a system interchange, which means you can connect a highway to it. But we're going to get rid of it and make a service interchange, which basically means highway, exit, and entrance. So, with that said, without further ado, let's get crazy. Oh god. So I didn't really mean to delete the highway there, but I think we'll do just fine. Let's actually convert all of these to 3-lane highway. I'm just going to put that back the way it was, convert all of these. So now, just like the diamond start, so we had to bring the highway in and we made a diamond, let's do a not bring the highway in start to be super next level. Now this implies that you're going to take this arterial road and bring it up over the top, and also I wouldn't actually do this. This is more of a way to, for vanilla players or console players, this is a way to continue your game in a really good way. For PC players who are okay changing the game a little bit with mods, you might want to do this initially. But what we would end up doing is making an overpass. So using that node right there, I'm going to go up 10 units just like we did with the diamond. Maybe we'll give ourselves a little more space, so maybe we're going across 14 units. Sure, I'm just making this up. 10 units down to ground. 10 units down to ground. That's great. And now we've got access to both sides of the road. The diamond interchange that I showed you, if you want to hinge your entire city off a diamond, you can, but I think that you're going to run out of steam and wish that you brought the highway in if you're going to do that. So for this situation, I would recommend a service interchange. I'm going to throw some names out there. You might have to research these on your own. I have videos about these, but you can use a parclo, which is a partial cloverleaf. An example of it that I've built looks like this. Actually, I'm going to end up implementing this one in just a second. But a parclo is a nice way to get cars off the highway using an overpass and an interchange. A spooey, or a single-point urban interchange, is another great option. You might have heard of a diverging diamond, which is like the darling of the interchange world these days. A lot of places have been upgrading to diverging diamonds. You can find an example of these on the workshop. You can find videos of how to make these on YouTube. I've got several. But what I'm going to do for now is just delete this whole thing. Because I've already made the video outlining how to do this, feel free to watch that one if you're curious. I'm just going to throw in a parclo, and I'm going to approximate where the connections are. So just kind of looking at the already existing roads and the angles. Something like that looks pretty good. So this one's pre-made. Feel free to build your own. In fact, I think it's very rewarding to learn to build your own. And the benefit of this is actually pretty enormous, I'd say. It's for people who don't want to build a city that's entirely highway-based. Because you end up with kind of a nasty situation. You end up with this big highway running through the middle of your city, which for some of you, that might be the reality that you live within. I actually did a great job lining... Oh, never mind. I did a very mediocre job lining this up, but hopefully you'll do better than me. That's okay. So the result is, rather than a system interchange, which converts this highway into the city, you're getting cars off of the highway using these ramps. So it's a highway entrance and a highway exit that turns into this arterial road, which is perfect. Now you're going on and off on both sides of the highway. Maybe this continues up, just for a little spitball in here. Maybe it continues up and crosses the railway, or maybe it goes under the railway. That's up to you. I don't mind a good at-grade crossing. Maybe this, just let's mix it. Let's mix it with our other start. Let's make a quick roundabout, a 7x7 like we talked about earlier. Throw in a quick roundabout there. Why not? And maybe this is where your city really takes shape. Or maybe it's a 4-way intersection and there's a light there. I don't mind either way. Both are viable. If you're building a European city, it would probably be a roundabout, or maybe even these would be roundabouts. Or maybe this would be a dog bone interchange or something different. But now you can build your city off of this instead, and they can get across the highway if they want to. And you have the benefit of not having cars whizzing by at 100 kilometers per hour or 65 miles per hour past your little neighborhood you just built. I think that this is a wonderful option. Vanilla players will have to learn how to build this on their own because I don't think it's included with the base game. People that have access to the game on PC, that have access to the workshop, can download these. I have my own versions, and other players have plenty of versions of system interchanges, which are very, very helpful. But I think this is a wonderful way to build your city. A way to use the already existing highway that we have to use, and ultimately get off the highway. Get the cars out of the highway and into your livable spaces that you've designed. I endorse this 100%. After all that greatness, I just want to take a moment to recognize what I would call the My First City start. So this is my first city. I started on Nintendo Switch, make no mistake. I play a heavily modded copy of Skylines now. But in my first city, you better believe that I built some roads. I built some roads coming off the road, and then I went across, and I built some other roads because I realized after I started building neighborhoods over here on some random layout that the cars couldn't get back onto the highway, and I said, oh, well, I got to connect it back to the highway. So I did this, and I did that, and I built neighborhoods coming off of this, and every single road that was connected to this was backed up. Every single road led to this, and it was just absolute hell. This is how not to build a city, in my opinion. This is maybe it would work in a very low density situation, but in anyone's experience, once you get high density zoning, this is going to break down so quickly. It ignores the principles of road hierarchy entirely. I have another video called Road Layout Inspiration, which kind of focuses on road hierarchy, so I'd recommend checking that out as well, just for concepts. But I wanted to pay homage to my first city. This is Yumble's. This is a recreation, a reenactment of my first Switch city, and I learned so much. I learned a lot about the game, and I learned a lot about life and love and heartbreak and and growth. So please feel free to start building like this, but then realize very rapidly that you're going to want a better city start because your entire city depends on it. And here it is, the actual tier list. All of the options that I've just given you ranked. Please do not use option D. The My First City option was my first Switch city. I would not recommend that, but maybe we've all been there, so I figured I'd include it. No C tiers for this one, but B tier, I've put it as a tie for the roundabout / arterial options. So you can convert that highway interchange into an arterial road, or you can bring the highway in and connect it to a roundabout. Both are viable, both are upgradable. Either can be used. It's realistic enough, it works out. But they also might break down at higher density populations. So for that reason, I've put them at B tier. Highway in is the next step up at A tier. It's very good. Bringing the highway into your city is a very, very, very strong option. Probably the best one for major high density areas. But the downside is you have to bring a highway into the city. And now you've got your Sims sitting next to this major roadway, and you've got to look out for noise pollution, and it doesn't always look as beautiful as it could doing it that way, which is why I've placed at the S tier at the very top. S is for service interchange. Please feel free to use a service interchange to get your cars off the highway. If you don't want to bring the highway into your city any further and you'd rather just create a nice exit and an off-ramp and an on-ramp for cars to have access to the highway without a highway going past your Sims' houses and businesses, I would absolutely recommend using a service interchange, whether it's a Parklow, a single-point urban interchange, a diamond. There's a myriad of interchanges. I've got tutorials for all of them. But everyone, that is going to conclude this video. Thanks for hanging out. I've been Yumble. I stream on Twitch twice a week. I make YouTube videos, generally 2 a week. Feel free to subscribe here if you'd like. I also have a Discord server if you'd like to join our community. Please feel free to come post some pictures of your city and maybe ask for some traffic help if you'd like. But that's all I've got for today. Everyone, thank you for hanging out. I've been Yumble. I'll see you in the next stream or the next video.